Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Monday. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Hope you had a great weekend. And for us, heading up to Shreveport, the fam, you know when you get somewhere, like you travel somewhere, and the first thing that the person says as you arrive was, well, how was the flight? Or how was the drive? And you usually say, yeah, good, no problems. I wouldn't go that far for us on the way up. Got fussing, screaming baby, had to pull over with him. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that my wife's car's speedometer wasn't working. It's a new vehicle. Everything else is working just fine, but there's two of them. There's one that's the standard that has the little lever that shows you how fast you're going, and then there's a digital piece. Well, neither one of them was working. So I'm going through all the speed traps on 190, Krotz Springs, Port Barre, Livonia, with no idea how fast I'm going. That is quite a rush. We did download, we have Waze on the phone, so we plugged our phone in with the Waze, and you had the speedometer then on the dash. But I had to look over at it and then back up, look over. It was just a very uncomfortable drive. Then Myers threw up, and it was just a whole issue. And then yesterday, driving back, it just rained the whole time, which is not fun. Plus, I was kind of tired from the weekend. So neither drive was that great, but a great weekend. I hope y'all's weekend was great. I know that the sports didn't go the way that most of us would have preferred, but that's what we're here to talk about. We'll talk a little LSU Texas Tech coming up in 15 minutes. Excited to talk with Brent Cunningham. He is running Bayou Traditions, which is today was announced the new in-house collective for LSU athletics in the NIL era. So Brent's going to come on at 1:30 to kind of talk us through what exactly Bayou Tradition is and how it's going to benefit the student athletes at LSU. Musso's going to jump in at 2 o'clock with me. We're going to kick baseball around for about 15 minutes. He was out at the box this weekend. I was not, as I was in Shreveport, so I'll pick Musso's brain on what he saw out at the box. SEC Big 12 Challenge to get to. Pels have lost 8 in a row now, which is not great. And some Baseball America preseason All-Americans we'll get to in hour number 2. A lot of LSU Tigers getting some lofty recognition in the preseason, as you might expect. But we'll start in the National Football League. Today, I became very much aware that the Bengals season is in the rearview mirror. Last night I was locked in, fired up, fist pumping, may have had a few expletives that dropped out. I was into the game. But this morning and today, I do not have the feeling I do in my stomach when LSU baseball is eliminated in a regional or super, or when the Cubs lose a playoff series. That hurts way more than I'm hurting today, which is further proof that I'm a bandwagon fan. I enjoy the hell out of it. I enjoyed watching last night until I was disappointed in the outcome, but it was a phenomenal football game from a competition standpoint. Was there a call here or there? Sure. Was there an injury here or there? Yeah. Was it gorgeous all the time? No. But it was the two best teams in that conference playing with massive stakes on the line, and it was extremely competitive just about from the start. And the Chiefs will be moving on to the Super Bowl. I thought early Mahomes looked pretty comfortable. Joe looked really uncomfortable. And it's evident. We've watched him play enough over the last 5 years that you know when he's dialed in, he's comfortable, he's decisive, he's picking them apart. And that just wasn't the case early. They sacked him 3 times in the first quarter. The Bengals did not have a single net yard in the first quarter. You saw Joe kind of duck in and look in. He never looked comfortable. We thought he was going to get killed all the time, which most part he was. I mean, they couldn't block Chris Jones. They couldn't really block anybody. And that Bengals offensive line that they spent so much money in improving that was so good in November and December has fallen apart. But the Bengals defense was able to hold the Chiefs to a couple of field goals, which felt like a win early. I thought the first big play in the game was Andy Reid deciding to go for that 4th down in the red zone where Mahomes rolls right and hits Kelsey for the touchdown. And that was not brilliant play design. It was not phenomenal execution of the game plan. It was two guys who are the best in the world at their position, who understand each other, and Mahomes just threw it to the open spot, and Kelsey knew he was going to throw it there and peeled off and made the catch for a touchdown. Would have been easy to settle for the field goal there. Know your defense is playing great. Your quarterback's banged up. You've got an opportunity to get points in a low-scoring game. Andy Reid said, no, we're going to put it in our best player's hand, and it worked. It was a huge, huge play. But the Bengals hung tough. They went down there and got points before the half. They got the 3-and-out they needed. And then coming out of the half, the Bengals go right down, and Joe makes that perfect throw down the sideline to Higgins, who high points it for a touchdown to tie the game at 13. Now you're like, all right, game on. Both quarterbacks have found their rhythm. Let's cook in the second half. This is going to be crazy. The throw that Mahomes makes for the next touchdown on 3rd and 9 to Valdez-Scantling was so good. He's kind of moving in the pocket, aware of his entire surroundings, and then he just rips it all arm strength with no legs to a little window for a touchdown for Valdez-Scantling. Mahomes was brilliant. I'm pulling against him. It was so frustrating. I felt like the Bengals could never get home on a pass rush. They could not make him move enough. And he continued to play great. So you thought that the Bengals were on the ropes, and they were kind of on the ropes at that point. And then you get a 4th and 6. And Zach Taylor says, let's go. And Joe just puts it up for Jamar. And that was as emotional as I got the entire game, fired up at a 4th and 6, huge play, throws it up. And Jamar, who's just such a dog, went up there and made the play. And they punch it in to tie the game at 20-20. And this is when all the fireworks started. So KC gets the ball. They're driving down. They get to the plus side of the field. And they've got 4th and 8 from the 37. That's about a 54, 55-yard field goal. It's 19 degrees. The wind is blowing. And we're at about 2.5 minutes to go in the game. And my group text was blasting Andy Reid for punting in that spot. And I looked at it and said, that's the play. If you send him out there for a 55-yarder, which Jay Feely said on the broadcast, none of the kickers even tried in warm-ups, and you miss, you're probably booking flights to Cabo for Tuesday. I mean, if you give Joe Burrow the ball with 2.5 minutes to go at the 45, and he's got to get 30 yards, you're probably done. You got to make him go 80. In this case, they made him go over 90. So the stage is set here. Joe gets the ball back with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go on his own 6-yard line, and you need to go get points and win the game in Arrowhead. And then they get to 3rd and 16, and I blew a gasket on 3rd and 16 because they had a sack that knocked him back there. The clock's running with 1:03 left on 3rd and 16. And the Bengals snapped the ball with 18 seconds on the play clock. What are the odds you pick that up? Like, none? And then you're going to have to punt the ball back to Mahomes at midfield, and you're leaving 18 seconds on the play clock there? I thought that was nuts. But, as you know, they picked up the first down. Forgot to cover the tight end, and they got it. But then they stalled. And this was the worst play of the game. Worse to me than the roughing or late hit out of bounds. The punt was so bad. 41 seconds left from your own 28, and the Bengals punter kicks a low line drive that splits the hash marks. Is this high school? How about some hang time? How about a little directional kick out of bounds so they can't run the kick back 30 yards? That was just an abysmal punt. Just awful. The Bengals punter was awful all night. That was indefensible. Kick it on an angle and give your coverage team a chance. So they run it back, and by now you know that Joseph Osai on the third down play knocks Mahomes late hit. Joseph Osai, I remember that name because I watched so many 2019 LSU game recaps during COVID that I can still hear Reese Davis saying the name Joseph Osai. He had a sack and a TFL in the LSU-Texas game in Austin in 19. Here's the deal on the late hit. He's really trying to make a play. He's hustling. He's playing hard. He understands that at this point, every single yard is massive for a field goal. You've got to hustle. His reaction afterward, where he's inconsolable, in tears, devastated, it makes you feel for him. It really does. Then he stood up by his locker and took questions. He had a teammate that stood next to him and helped him through it, which I thought was great. All that's true. He's playing hard. He cares. He's devastated. He's not defiant. Sometimes, when guys get personal fouls for maybe a late hit or maybe fighting, it's a macho thing. It's a toughness thing. It's I got to protect myself, stand my ground type deal. He wasn't like that. He knew he messed up. All that said, you just can't do that. You just cannot hit the quarterback out of bounds. You have to be situationally aware that you're both running toward the sideline, that you're dealing with the quarterback who's not running at his top end speed, that it's very, very late in the game, and that you're going to have to basically give in and just guide him out of bounds. It's too obvious. That's not, some of the targeting things are so bang, bang, and they're moving so fast. This is not that. As you're running, what's going on here. You have plenty of time to process this. He made an indefensively bad play. He cares. He's playing hard. All that's great. You cannot have that happen. It was so obvious to everyone. And it was the correct call. That point in the game, yes, it's the correct call. Not a let him play situation. You hit the quarterback late, it's 15 yards. It was the right call. Sure, there was probably holding on the play. I've had quite a few former and current NFL players who have gone to Twitter saying that they didn't think those were holds. Yeah, there may have been some blocks in the back on the punt. All that is fine. You can debate it till the cows come home. Fact is, you cannot hit the quarterback late because they're not going to make a 60-yard field goal in those conditions. It was not doable. Devastating loss for the Bengals. I was really bummed out last night. I'm still a little bummed out, but it's nowhere near what I feel when my childhood teams that I've liked for 30 years get eliminated. I think they'll be back. But bottom line, last night, Mahomes was brilliant, and Joe wasn't brilliant. He was a little timid, a little scared, and he didn't get a lot of help from his offensive line. Scared's a strong word, but he just looked a little timid to me. Chiefs deserve to be there. Bengals back to work in the offseason. Got free agents like Von Bell and some other players. Got to make some decisions on. And then what do they do with Joe as far as that contract goes? Sounds like they're getting close to an extension. That's going to shake things up on the salary cap for sure. Had him on the cheap deal this year. Came up one play short. Talk about the NFC title game a little bit later. I want to get to LSU Texas Tech. Coming up in the next segment, my thoughts on that. And Brent Cunningham from Bayou Traditions, the new collective that LSU launched in-house today, will be with us in 15 minutes. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford. Check out that inventory, BayouFord.com. But Ford's like my Expedition, my Explorer. The speedometer's going to work on that. My wife made me look that direction. Check out the website, BayouFord.com. It got great deals. They're always right there on the website. The inventory updates daily as inventory comes in and as it moves out. Check it out at BayouFord.com. If they've got what you like, whether it's a Bronco, whether it's a F-150, Explorer, Expedition, check it out. If they've got it, great. Call Ben Gagne and his team up, see if you can work out a deal. If they don't, that's okay. They can customize a vehicle. Color, interior, bells and whistles, all that can be customized over at Bayou Ford with Ben Gagne and his team, and they can deliver it in 60 to 90 days. They'll drive it right to your front door with the paperwork, sign it all up, never set foot on the lot. 75% of the customers at Bayou Ford never set foot on the lot. BayouFord.com is the website. Bayou Ford, they're going to do right by you.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the one.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's off in the PMAC on Saturday for LSU basketball. Texas Tech comes in, wins at 76-68, 8-point win for the Red Raiders. You caught a break for LSU. Pop Isaacs, freshman point guard for Texas Tech. We told you he rolled his ankle in the game against West Virginia last week, and he was out, wasn't able to play on Saturday, so they're playing a man down. And you feel like from talent for talent, it was a fairly even matchup. Texas Tech probably a little bit better, but not significantly. And you thought LSU had a chance to get a win on Saturday. And you come out, and Adam Miller's shooting the ball very well, 4 of 6 from 3 in the first half. And so the offense, which has been the absolute Achilles heel of this team through this dreadful stretch, looked a little bit better. They felt a little bit crisper. It always helps when shots go down, but they were able to do some things against a team that hasn't been elite on defense in Texas Tech, but they're an elite defensive program, and their pedigree is that they're going to be tough on defense and well-coached and prepared. And LSU was able to score some points, but their defense was atrocious. Texas Tech's not a good offensive team, and you let them score 41 in the first half on 52% shooting. Just not good enough on the defensive end. You let O'Banner hit some threes, which is not necessarily his game, and Texas Tech offensively was getting things done. But LSU punched back in the second half and kept it arm's length. They kept it pretty tight. But then you played the last 8 minutes and 44 seconds, and the LSU offense that we know and hate, not that we know and love, showed up. Over the last 8 minutes and 44 seconds of the game on Saturday, LSU was 1 of 13 from the floor, and Texas Tech was 9 of 13 from the floor. Oh, by the way, of those 9 makes on 13 attempts, 5 layups and 3 dunks. That's 8 of the 9. That's just unacceptable defensive execution. You're not able to get the rebound to clear the possession when you need to, and you're not able to stop teams from getting to the rim, even teams as compromised on the offensive end as Texas Tech. So, in the end, you get beat by 8 points because you can't score. Again, 1 for 13 in the last 8 minutes and 44 seconds is just not good. And some of the looks were really good looks. I mean, I remember they threw a duck-in pass to KJ Williams, who had sealed the guy behind him right in front of the rim at 3 feet, and he turned around and shot a jump hook and left it short. And that's the thing. For LSU to put up a good enough offensive game to win, you're going to need your best guys to do it. And on a game where Adam Miller shoots the ball solidly for the game, you look at the box, 5 of 10 from 3, has 20 points, makes 3 of his 4 free throws. Your most consistent offensive player, KJ Williams, goes 5 of 18 from the floor. He was 3 of 13 on 2s. You got to have them both. There's not enough support on the offensive side for those 2 guys not to be on. Cam Hayes gives you 9. Justice Williams was 1 for 8 from the floor. And Derek Fountain, 3 of 5, pitched in 10 points. Trey Hannibal had 7. Justice Hill made a 3 from the right wing. That was his only points of the game. But you need Miller and KJ to play well, and you didn't get a solid offensive effort from KJ. It's just so much has to go right. And I was having a conversation with Matt a little bit earlier today. He's like, you think they'll win a game, another game? I said, yeah, they will. They'll have a game, whether it's Ole Miss or South Carolina or Vanderbilt. They'll have a game where the offense gets hot. It just is. And Matt actually brought this up and may do it on his show as well. But do you remember in the COVID year, Vanderbilt hadn't won an SEC game, and Will Wade's team went up there and they just made everything they looked at for 40 minutes, just throwing in threes from outside of Nashville. Something like that will happen for LSU. They'll get hot and make some shots, and they'll win another game, maybe 2, but it's just uphill because while last year's team had its issues offensively and had trouble scoring at times, they were really good on defense. They were connected. They switched everything. They made it difficult to score on you, and they created some turnovers. So they had something to lean on. This LSU team is not great defensively. They're not great in rebounding. They're not a great shooting team. They don't protect the basketball exceptionally well. They're just not – they don't have anything right now they can lean on to keep a game close and win it late. So it's just going to have to be one of those days where they shoot an obscene number. And while it was better at times offensively in this game, still 35% from 3, which is fine. Nothing exceptional. And from the floor, 37%, which is just not going to get it. Free throws were better, 15 of 19. That's 79%, but just not enough. And that's unfortunate because you were at home, had an opportunity against a team that's not great and was missing its starting point guard to get a win, but just not able to do it. So look at the week ahead. It's not any easier. On Wednesday, you got to go to Columbia, Missouri, play a team that's really tough to beat on their own floor. And then, obviously, you've got Alabama coming on Saturday, which we know what happened to them on Saturday, but I don't know that I expect that to happen back-to-back weekends to the Tide. So LSU loses on Saturday inside the PMAC, 76-68 to Texas Tech. They have now dropped 8 games in a row. It's a tough stretch for Matt McMahon and his program right now. I want to remind you this February, 104.5 ESPN and Citizens Bank and Trust are here to offer you a holiday rebate to the tune of $2,000 in cash. We'll also be selecting a local prize winner to receive $1,000 in cash. You can sign up to win at 1045ESPN.com. Let's see. I was thinking about doing a Citizens Bank poll question of the day right now, but I don't know that I have one in mind. I had one earlier, and then I forgot about it. Oh, I do want to. I'm just going to throw this out there because we were talking about it at the dinner table over the weekend. Is your New Year's resolution still intact? Yes, no, didn't have one. Because credit my wife, she's rocking and rolling. Her New Year's resolution was to read more. She's already read 3 books. We're not even done with January yet. So that I would say that hers is still intact. Most people say, hey, got to lose some weight, hit the gym for like 5 days, and then all of a sudden now it's the weekend and I don't really feel like it on Monday and it's over. So I want to see if you had a New Year's resolution. Are you still rocking and rolling with it here at the end of January? I would suggest most people maybe not. I think at this point we've kind of reverted back to where we live in the habit zone. Excited for our next guest here coming up on the Hunt Palmer Show. LSU made a big announcement today with an in-house collective for name, image, and likeness. It's called Bayou Traditions. There's a video that LSU put out. Scott Woodward voices it. Some really cool graphics and whatnot. Brent Cunningham is running point on Bayou Traditions. And we're going to talk with Brent coming up next about what this means for student athletes at LSU in the name, image, and likeness era. A tough weekend for Stetson Bennett. We'll get to that to end up hour number 1. Matt Musso going to join us here at 2 o'clock, talk a little baseball. He was out watching the Tigers. SEC Big 12 Challenge to talk about. Collegiate baseball. Baseball America came out with preseason All-American, so we got that. We got Take It or Leave It as well. Hope your week's off to a good start. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Miller Lite has more taste and only 1 more calorie than Michelob Ultra.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corvette Toyota family to yours.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We'll recap the championship games and start to look ahead to Super Bowl 57 and the Tigers and Pels on the hardwood. Join us Monday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
A historic day on the campus over at LSU today. Official launch of the official collective of LSU athletics, Bayou Traditions, was announced today. So now we bring the president of Bayou Traditions on. He is Brent Cunningham. Thanks so much for your time, Brent. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So I've got a pretty good idea because I've done a little bit of research on this, but I feel like the president's probably got a better handle. Tell me, what is Bayou Traditions?
We are the official LSU NIL collective, and we're purposed with raising funds, finding opportunities for student athletes, creating those NIL activations for them, and at the same time creating good experiences for our LSU fan base who decide to participate with us.
Yeah, so I look at the website, BayouTraditionsCollective.com, and there are a bunch of different categories that you can fall into. It can be one-time payments, monthly payments, annual payments, so it's purple, gold, the natty, the boot, flagship, go. They're all in different monetary donations, and as well as they come with different perks. This is for anyone who's a fan of LSU athletics?
Anyone and everyone. Yep. Anyone who wants to see LSU be able to compete in the NIL space.
So, right, and I think what people have thought about, Tiger Athletic Foundation has been around for a very, very long time, and college athletics is kind of an arms race, which is to build facilities and to create the best experience they can for the student athletes and give LSU a competitive advantage. That's on the facility side. Bayou Traditions, am I correct in saying that's for monetary compensation for student athletes' name, image, and likeness, correct?
That's exactly right.
So I think people would want to know, how do I get involved in this?
Yeah, and you spoke to it quite a bit, right? We've got our membership levels where LSU fans can pick at any given level that they want to contribute at, and each level does come with its own perks. They build upon each other, and so you'll see different opportunities that, as far as things that you'll be able to, as a fan, receive or participate in, depending on how involved you want to be from a financial standpoint. And so you can find all that information, of course, on BayouTraditionsCollective.com. We've got our Twitter and Instagram pages as well, where we'll be rolling out a lot of information for everyone, and at the same time promoting our student athletes.
I think the best way to get information, as Brent just said, and we're chatting with Brent Cunningham, the president of Bayou Traditions, the LSU collective. Someone may say, look, I'm a huge softball fan. I want the money to go to the softball program. Or they say, I'm a huge softball fan. I really like the first baseman. That's where I want the money to go. How involved can someone be with where the dollars and cents actually end up?
Yeah, so when you contribute on our website, there's an opportunity, to leave a message, note exactly, what your preferences are with your funds. Ultimately, we have the opportunity to divvy out those funds in the areas where they need to be. But we want to know exactly which sports you want to support, right? Like you said, you might be a big softball fan. You might be part of that team's booster club as it is already, and you want to find ways to benefit their student athletes. So please make sure you're providing that information in the message section where you support and send in your contributions, and we'll work with those programs as well to try and figure out the best ways to divvy up those funds within the guidelines that are in place.
Look, I'm curious as to your relationship with Bayou Traditions and the individual coaches. Are they the point people, or are there people inside the program that now kind of handle that for the coaches? They got games to win and players to go recruit and whatnot. How does the communication work internally with LSU?
You know, the beauty of our LSU Sports Properties agreement is it allows, to an extent, a collaborative approach with LSU athletics and those sports programs with our collective. So, ultimately, it's our responsibility to learn those programs and the inner workings and figure out where the best needs are and where to best, put that money. But, the coaches are still limited to an extent as far as where they can request the funds to go, right? So they can't designate a student athlete to receive X amount of dollars, but that's just where our involvement is. Where we have the benefit through that partnership that we announced today, and whether that might be working with the head coach directly, it might be somebody on support, it might be members of the administration. So I've been fortunate to start building relationships with all those people already. So we're full steam ahead.
We cover recruiting for various sports here on ESPN, and we understand the game has changed a little bit over the last 5 years, and players that are high school student athletes will say, yeah, this is NIL is very important to me, or they may say they are not. Now, you can't use name, image, and likeness and dollars and cents in terms of a recruiting inducement, but certainly LSU forming Bayou Traditions and having funds available for name, image, and likeness payments to players would be part of a recruiting pitch, I would imagine, no matter what sport you're talking about. Hey, not like, hey, you get this much money. It's like, hey, this is what we have, and this is how it works. So is there a situation where you might be involved in a recruiting conversation with the prospective student athlete, no matter what the sport may be?
You're dead on in that this impacts student athletes' decisions, right, on where they go to school or where they remain, right, whether or not they're deciding to look for a new opportunity somewhere. And NIL is just another component to the overall student athlete experience. You've got new jerseys, new locker rooms, new facilities. NIL is also part of that. Right. So, when coaches make a recruiting pitch, they can talk about, look what Bayou Traditions has done for our student athletes here at LSU. And these are the opportunities that would potentially be available to you as well, if you were a student athlete here at LSU.
As far as other programs around the nation, other athletic departments around the nation, how common is it to have this sort of organization and collective?
It's fairly common nowadays to have a collective associated with a Power 5 institution, and sometimes you'll see multiple collectives associated with certain Power 5 institutions. And when you have multiple, it's not good for the overall experience. The opportunity that we have here at LSU to be the official collective of the university is it's just a massive advantage to us being able to turn around and benefit LSU student athletes. So the level of support and collaboration and partnership that we have there with LSU is far and above what you probably see at a lot of Power 5 institutions around the country.
It is Bayou Traditions. You can be part of the new collective. Just go to BayouTraditionsCollective.com. Brent Cunningham is the president over there at Bayou Tradition. Thanks so much for your time, Brent.
Absolutely. Good talking with you.
For those, again, BayouTraditionsCollective.com is the website, and I'm over there. As little as $10 a month, you can donate to just do a small part, and all the way up to the top program on the list is the GO program, which is $50,000 a year or a $5,000 a month if you choose to do it that way. But again, there are 6 different levels to this, and they all come with different perks. The purple is the smallest. It's $10 a month. You get an NIL newsletter, and there's some merchandise that may be involved all the way up to that GO package, which gets you a lot. Signed memorabilia from student athletes, personalized videos. There's a lot that goes into it, and there's a nice partnership with LSU Gold as well, which is the unbelievable content that they're putting out over there on campus that gives you inside access to the programs that we've never really had before. So it's all just part of keeping up in the arms race, and that's what has to be done. for the longest time, Tiger Athletic Foundation was your way to jump in and to give money so that they could build nutrition centers and locker rooms and have all those wonderful things. That's still very much available. But as far as NIL goes, they've got a separate now spot for that, which is Bayou Traditions, the new collective that's there at LSU. So brand new thing. And it's one of those deals where, as I'm looking through this, it's all new to me as well. And I was talking to Brent a little bit earlier today because it's something that I'm trying to kind of figure out as well. So again, you want to help out, you can put an earmark to where you want that money directed. If you're a huge gym fan, you want the gymnastics program to have a little bit more support for the name, image, and likeness, there you go. You're all football all the time. You know, there's got plenty of those. You can pump those into the football as well. Baseball, we'll use it as well. Anywhere in the LSU athletic family. Bayou Traditions is the new collective. Go to BayouTraditionsCollective.com. All right, when we come back, maybe briefly touch on the NFC title game, and also what a fall from grace for Stetson Bennett. It's been a really tough couple of weeks to be Stetson Bennett after what was an unbelievable 2 years to be Stetson Bennett. I didn't quite realize the things that have gone on over the last couple of weeks, but I heard T-Bob and Jacob talking about it a little bit today. We'll touch on it a little bit to end this hour. Matt Musso with us in 20 minutes talking some LSU baseball. Stick with us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. Look, you're looking at your bathroom, just not thrilled with the way that looks, spending a lot of time in there, but we can do a little better than that. One Bath and Closets is your spot. David Duvall and his group been in the business for 3 decades. One company, one contractor, one bath and closets. I can promise you this with David Duvall and his team. They are not going to quickly speed through your project to get to the next one, to get to the next client. They're going to make sure they do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. They're going to show up on time. They're going to give you their schedule. They're going to stick to the schedule. And when they're done, you're going to be thrilled with that product. They also do it on the closet side. If you've got a lot of clutter, a lot of junk, not enough space, let One Bath and Closets come in and help you out with the closet of your dreams. Testimonials are all there at onebathandclosets.com. If you tell David Duvall and his team, the Hunt Palmer Show sent you over to One Bath and Closets, they're not going to pay for the rip out of your current closet or the installation costs of the new one. You're just going to pay for that unit. Onebathandclosets.com is the website. Onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ATEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it, They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana.
Join me, Jimmy Ott and Charles Hanegraaff, the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at Finbom on Burbank and Lee, right next to Rouse's, recapping the conference championship games. Looking forward to the Super Bowl. It's Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I just don't know what you feel like today you wake up and as a member of the San Francisco 49ers. If you're John Lynch, if you're Kyle Shanahan, or just that's one of the toughest ways I can imagine going out. We put together such a great group of players to be so elite on defense, to lose 2 quarterbacks for the year and still rattle off 7 in a row with our third teamer who's a rookie. And then we lose him. But we had a backup to come in that no one had ever heard of, and then he got a concussion. I mean, you literally, I missed the first half driving from Shreveport. But I was keeping up with the score. I was going over to catch the score here and there, and found out via text message that Purdy had gone out, and then found out the backup was out. So then I get home, and they're down 28 and handing it off on every play. Like, what is going on? And somebody said, yeah, Purdy can't throw. He's just got to take snaps and hand off. Well, that's tough. It's just, that's just brutal. You'd rather just get beat. And you could look at the score and go, yeah, they beat him. And look, the Eagles scored 31 points. Well, when the offense can't do anything, it's a little tough to ask the defense to shut them out. Got McCaffrey running around trying to throw the ball, running reverses to Debo on a 4th down. Meanwhile, the Eagles are just flying up the field because they know that the 49ers literally have no aerial threat. It's the sport is such a battle of attrition. We know the Saints have fought so many injuries over the last 2 years. But they're not alone. 49ers, no quarterback. Literally. The Bengals, whole offensive line shot. The Chiefs are out there with no wide receivers. Got elevating guys with the practice squad, playing Sky Moore. Even the Eagles, I mean, Hurts was out. It's just, God, it's so frustrating. But it's just, it is what it is. Playing 17, 18, 19 games at this level with that speed and violence, it's just, it is what it is. And the Eagles deserve to go to the Super Bowl, but I cannot envision an easier path to the Super Bowl than playing the New York Giants and then a team literally that didn't have a quarterback. That's the easiest walk into the Super Bowl. Has to be all time. Has to be. Now, they'll get tested plenty in 2 weeks. Mahomes will have 2 more weeks off that ankle. He'll still be maybe a little gimpy, but the Chiefs will be ready to rock. That is a cakewalk. Once again, it comes down to my thing. Like, to be the man, you have to beat the man. No, you don't. You just have to beat the team that shows up. If the team that shows up has no quarterbacks left, that's who you got to beat. You don't have to play the hardest, most difficult team, most difficult schedule. That sounds good. It's awesome if you get it done. But sometimes it breaks this way. Speaking of things going one way or another. Was there anybody in the world of sports riding higher than Stetson Bennett 3 weeks ago? 40-year title drought. He's the starting quarterback that snaps it, then they go back-to-back. And he's got to be the absolute toast of Athens forever. And somehow he manages to kind of screw this up over the last 3 weeks. And it's not just the arrest this week, which I'm sure you all saw over the weekend. Public intoxication, tried to run from the police. They tackled him. You've probably seen the video. That's really bad look. But not the first or the last person to get public intoxication and have a run-in with the cops. It happens. But you pile it up with the other 3 decisions he's made over the last 3 weeks, and it's puzzling, really. If you're not familiar, and I wasn't until Jacob and T-Bob started talking about it this morning, so I switched gears and did a little bit of looking at it. He's just being, sorry, it sounds bad. He's just being a jerk. There's no reason for that. He gets into the parade, back-to-back national champs. The streets of Athens are packed. He's riding in the parade. He's on a convertible, and a nice young reporter comes up to him in a parade that they're covering on television, which is a celebration of a championship, and she's got a mic, and she looks at him and says, "Hey, Stetson, how you feeling?" And he kind of looks at her disparagingly and starts shaking his head and says something to the effect of, I mean, y'all just, no. And then she's like, "Oh, well, how you feeling?" And he just cold shoulders her. Why? It's a parade. You're sitting on a float. How hard is it to go, "Oh, it's awesome. We just got such great fans. So proud to be a part of this team and thrilled we could be a part of such an awesome journey. And this is just a fitting celebration and end to my college career. It's awesome." How hard is that? Instead, he's like, "No, y'all, I'm done with the media." And then the parade's over, and he gets up on stage, and DJ Shockley, former Georgia quarterback, asks him, like, "Hey, what are you most proud of with this team?" And he grabs the mic, and he's looking way too cool for school and super relaxed. And I'll read the quote off this story. He says, "The thing I'm most proud of," and he kind of pauses and looking. He goes, "Man, y'all burned us. Y'all kept telling us how bad we were, and we kept winning and kept embarrassing people. 49-3, 65-7, and y'all didn't want to believe it. But screw it. We got 2 rings." Who are you talking to? The Georgia fans? The 30,000 people out here told you how bad you were? What? You were preseason top 3 by everybody. You were ranked number 1 in the country most of the year. I mean, yeah, like I personally picked Tennessee to beat Georgia. But who was telling you how bad you were? And what is this demeanor at this celebration? I mean, yeah, you could probably say that some people last year thought JT Daniels should have played, and maybe like you were a little bit underrated. The team of all 5 stars that went in the first round, that everyone was saying how bad you were? What is this shtick and attitude? Turns down a Senior Bowl invite. You can do whatever you want to do, but getting arrested drunk while the Senior Bowl's at practice isn't a great look. It's just odd that in the happiest time of your life, you've got this too cool for school smug thing going. It just doesn't work. And it's probably rubbed some people the wrong way. It's just odd for me to see someone reach those heights and then kind of do some effort to knock yourself down a couple of pegs. Like, why? Just put on a smile and be nice to people. Not that hard. Weird. I missed all this. The Stetson Bennett smug parade jerk fest didn't quite get to my ears, but certainly the arrest did this week. So tough go to be Stetson Bennett at the very moment, but we'll see what happens in the NFL draft. That'll do it for hour number 1. Talked about the AFC title game at the top of the show. Really big bummer for the Bengals to have their season end. LSU Texas Tech at 1:15. Went back over that loss in the PMAC on Saturday. Then Brent Cunningham from Bayou Traditions, the new LSU collective, joined us at 1:30. If you missed any of it, you can always catch our show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. You can find that anywhere you catch your audio. You can find The Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review. We would really appreciate that. We'll talk SEC Big 12 Challenge in hour number 2. Also talk about the Pels who've lost 8 straight, and there's some preseason collegiate baseball All-American teams from Baseball America I want to get to as well. But we're going to talk some baseball coming up. Tigers were out there scrimmaging. Matt Musso was there. Of course, you know him from Musso at the Box and AFR. He joins us after Sports Center. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Three people walk into a bar. The first two order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
Start your day with news and newsmakers. Start your day with traffic, weather, and local stories that are important to you. Kickstart your day every day. Mornings with Brian Haldane from 6 to 9 a.m. Weekdays on Talk 107.3.
Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So Happy New Year from our Corvell Toyota family to yours.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. From Dallas to L.A. for Kellen Moore. A day after he and the Cowboys mutually agreed to part ways, the Chargers agreed to terms to hire Moore as their new offensive coordinator. His hiring will benefit L.A.'s franchise quarterback, believes Pro Football Hall of Famer Michael Irvin.
A couple years ago, when Justin Herbert had his best season, it was in this offense. And then they changed coaches, and I was like, okay, now you're going to put him in a whole new system. He'll go back to this same offense, and I think he will play better. So I think it's a great opportunity for Kellen Moore, and I do think this will help Justin Herbert.
Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes came out of the AFC Championship game win over the Bengals feeling pretty good, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. No structural issues with his high ankle sprain. Plenty of rest for Mahomes early this week, and then he will ramp up his activity in preparation for Super Bowl 57. The NFL has told its 32 teams that the 2023 salary cap will be a record $224.8 million, an increase over $16 million from the 2022 cap. Hockey Hall of Famer Bobby Hull has died at the age of 84. He was named among the 100 greatest NHL players in 2017.
The new Venture X card from Capital One. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel, plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now, Hunt Palmer. Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, rocking and rolling here, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hope your Monday is off to a good start. Kind of a nasty day out there in Baton Rouge, but I think they're going to scrimmage at 4:30 over at the box, so I'm going to go take that in because I wasn't able to get out there this past weekend. I was up in Shreveport, little niece's birthday party, a little golf. Enjoyable, but not baseball at the box, so I'm going to go check that out. Today, somebody who was out at the box over the weekend, though, Matthew Musso at the Box podcast. He joins us now. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Hunt. How are you, man?
I'm doing just fine. We are 3 weeks away here from getting things underway at the box. I know you were out there. I asked you for a couple things off the air, and one of the first things you mentioned was Thatcher Hurd. I think most people feel pretty comfortable with the names that are going to be in the lineup as far as offense goes this year, but the pitching is a lot of new guys, some guys that maybe haven't been proven at this level. Thatcher Hurd, one of the new guys who's coming off of an injury. You seem to like what you saw over the weekend there?
I do, and you brought up the injury, and I think that's the most intriguing part about Thatcher Hurd, right? Obviously, the guy throws 95, 96 miles an hour and has got 3 pitches and was, in his time that he was able to go last year, the best pitcher on the staff at UCLA, but the PARS defect in the back is something you have to keep an eye on there, and you didn't see much of him in the fall, right? 2 innings here or there. They'd yank him after that, and Jay, what's been interesting with him, and I think you'd agree with this, he's used the preseason to ramp up his pitchers, whereas Coach Maneri would normally do that in the beginning of the regular season. So watching Thatcher Hurd, how they bring him along is going to be very interesting to me. He went 3 innings on Saturday and looked strong. Like, that's the word I think that's intriguing the most because of the injury. He looked strong. He struck out 5 in the 3 innings. He did give up the homer to Joe Bear, which was just, it went up. It almost cleared the right field bleachers. He hung a slider on 2-0, and Joe Bear just killed it. But he bounced right back with a strikeout, a ground out, and then another strikeout. So that's obviously what you want to see. He looked really, really good and strong and healthy.
I had a conversation with someone about Thatcher Hurd back in October, and they said, look, he feels really good, but we're not going to push anything in the fall. And they didn't. Like you mentioned, it was once a week. It was 2 innings here, 2 innings there. It was 30 pitches, and then they shut it down. And I think that they were just assuming as long as everything went according to plan, there were no setbacks, he'd be ready to rock as a guy that would be in the weekend rotation. It appears that all signs point that direction now.
It does. And I also should point out he did it against the tougher lineup. Like, he was facing Dylan Cruz, Tommy White, Trey Morgan, Braden Jober. He was facing that group and went through it pretty much unscathed.
So my understanding right now is that Skeens is going to be game 1. I love Friday, Saturday, Sunday saying that, but now they play on Thursday 5 times a year. So it's like, I looked up yesterday because my parents are going to come in for the Tennessee series. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Friday night guy doesn't always actually pitch on Friday, but he would be game 1. Sounds like Ty Floyd is right now slotted probably if 2 things can change in 3 weeks for sure.
Naturally.
And that Hurd would pitch in game 3s. And I personally love the idea of waking up for a game 3 if you're an LSU guy thinking, okay, we got Hurd going. Because that's when most teams are running out of gas, and LSU very much not. So even if you've split the first 2 and you're trying to win the series, maybe you've lost the first 2, or if you're going for a sweep, there's just a little bit added pep in your step knowing, hey, I got a guy that might go in the first round pitching today.
It's what separates the elites in college baseball from the just okays. Do you actually have 3 starters? And, I mean, that's something we've seen a lot at LSU, right, where you have 1, 2, and then TBD on Sunday, or your Johnny Holstaff in it. That doesn't seem the case this year. And, I mean, that's the first time since 2017 that we can actually talk about that when you had Lang Poche Walker. So, I mean, yeah, it's a peace of mind for sure. And, again, a guy who's coming from a program like UCLA who had a sub-2 ERA in the time he was able to pitch. I like what I've seen from Thatcher Hurd an awful lot.
All I saw from the weekend, Jacques Doucet, Channel 9, was shooting the scrimmages, and he was shooting when Hurd was pitching. You know, if you watch the local news, they had the pitch being delivered, and they showed just the hitter, so you don't see the entire pitch travel. But it looked like a lot of breaking balls that guys were swinging over the top of, which I like very much.
Yes, especially when you back that up with 95, 96 just consistently. Absolutely. I mean, like I said, the one that someone didn't swing over the top of was Braden Jobert, and he almost hit it over the bleachers and right. So, but other than that, yeah, I mean, it was
a lot
white
of times last year. All right, what else may have caught your eye, either offensively or on the mound?
Offensively, Jared Jones, man, that guy packs some punch with the bat. I don't know how much playing time he gets. I don't know where you put him on the field. They had him at third on Saturday, which I'll say wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing thing. But he's looked good at first, and he's looked good at catcher when they've put him there. But he had a rocket shot on Friday for his hit, and then he had 2 hits on Saturday, including a homer off Blake Money. That was a line drive, 112 miles per hour off the bat. I mean, I know they're playing with aluminum bats, Hunt, but that's really good. Like, that doesn't stink.
I had a conversation with somebody inside the program. I hate saying that because it sounds like pretentious, but it's the fact that the fact of the matter is that it said, is Jared Jones going to get bats? Because we know Milazzo and we know Neal, and you've got Morgan at first. So immediately the answer was have to. And what's going to happen is very likely they're going to beat a lot of teams 16-3 in the early season. And when it gets to be 9-1 in the 5th, Dylan, Trey, Alex, y'all are coming out. That's just the way it has to be. You've heard now in a press conference and at the banquet a couple weeks ago, Jay say they have talked to everybody in this program about what it's going to take to win this thing. And part of that is you may have to come out. You either aren't starting, which you think you should, or you are starting, but we got to get somebody at bat. You have to come out. And he mentioned all the examples of Kurt Ainsworth and DJ LeMahieu and Austin Nola and Mikey Matuk and Warren Morris, all these guys. That's how you get the bats. You just some of the guys that are all Americans that you think, oh, well, Dylan Cruz is going to hit 23 home runs. Well, he might not play as much innings this year because, he's going to play against Tennessee when Dolander's out there.
Yeah.
You're up against Southeastern, it's 15-2. Have a seat. That's the way you got to go.
It's a great problem to have. And, I mean, the depth on this team, both on the pitching staff and from an offensive standpoint, is immense. I mean, it's an upgrade just about everywhere they had. I mentioned Jared Jones. Hunt, Braden Jobert hit 18 home runs last year, 58 RBIs. Both those marks were second on your team. And you got people, is he going to play outfield? Is he going to DH? Where are his bats going to come from? I mean, if he's hitting the ball, that's a guy you have to have out there. So I think you see a lot of mixing. Paul Skeens DHing, right? I mean, that's something we've heard an awful lot about, and he's an elite hitter that I know we all saw in the fall. So they're going to have to find at bats for people. You'll probably see maybe some matchups, lefty-righty there, and then, okay, this guy's hot. He can hit lefties. You got a lefty on the mound. You start him there. But it's a deep team, and it's an extremely talented team, and they're fun to watch.
Your thoughts on a couple of bullpen pieces and how it might shake out? I guess start at the bat. Who do you think gets the last outs?
To start the season, I like Grant Taylor for that role. I mean, I wasn't out there Friday, but, they released some of the statistics, and he struck out 8 in 4 innings, which is obviously the 4 innings stands out, but 8 in 4 innings is a hell of a ratio. I don't have to tell anybody that. And I like the idea of a guy who throws 97 coming out max effort for an inning, just giving it to you. The breaking ball looks harder and stronger this year from him, too, getting a lot more swing and misses. You saw the 97 last year. The breaking ball is a little hit or miss. Like Riley Cooper, obviously still as a left-handed option at the back end.
You just don't have to pitch him every game this year.
You just don't have to pitch him every game this year. Bryce Collins, man, he looks stronger. Yep. He's up to mid-90s, which is nice to see a year coming off the injury there for him.
So you talked about this last year because it's what Jay said in his press conference. It's not like breaking news or inside. So Jay said it in press conferences. When they signed Bryce Collins at Arizona, Jay thought he'd be Friday night guy and a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And then he didn't pitch for 2 years because he was hurt. And so he finally got some strength last year, but now in year 2, by all accounts, it has flipped. And Jay said in media day said that he has made a massive jump.
Yeah, I mean he's looked good. I didn't get to see him this weekend, but I saw him in the fall a good bit. And then I like some of the lefties, man. I like Bronzini. He struggled on Saturday, but I'm willing
to throw strikes.
I'm willing to put that as maybe a bit of an outlier. I like Ackenhausen a lot, and I know we kind of talked about it off air, but man, Garrett Edwards. Maybe I'm just getting sucked into the increase in velocity, but he looked real good Saturday. Threw a shutout inning, struck out 2, was up to 95. I mean, 6'6" guy throwing 95, that's going to catch my attention every time.
He's a good athlete. I just think there are some names in front of that for me. But there's always somebody that peaks up and shows up and does something you don't expect. And that would be, look, more the merrier because
for sure.
you rarely go through 56 games with everybody feeling great.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you've got more guys in there. Last thing, and we'll move along. But what do you think about reps at second?
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because you keep hearing the word platoon, and I think that gets a real negative connotation in baseball, and rightfully so, because so often you go with the hot hand, right? Oh, it's hard for this guy to get at-bats or get comfortable in the box when he's only playing every other day or something like that. And I think there is merit to that. But you have guys there that can play. I mean, Ben DePault looks really good. Jack Merrifield has hit the cover off the ball in the fall, and he looked good Saturday. He made every play. He had a clutch double that scored Milazzo in that scrimmage. And then you have Gavin Guidry, who, I mean, there was thought that guy might go pro out of high school. He's really good and looks like he can develop well in his time at LSU. If he doesn't play, I mean, he's obviously going to be the backup to Thompson at shortstop, but he feels like maybe the heir apparent at shortstop.
Right now.
So that guy potentially at second base, I think you do see all of them. I think eventually someone takes hold of it, though. I really do. Whether that's a Gavin Guidry, whether it's a Gavin Dugas, I'm not sure. But I'll say Jack Merrifield, it's got to be tough to keep him off the field right now because he's hitting the ball and he's making the plays.
They all have a little bit of a different skill set.
Yeah.
The ceiling's the highest with Guidry. DePault's left-handed, which is a huge benefit to him. Merrifield is steady Eddie, and you know what you're going to get there as well. And then you've got Gavin Dugas. I don't think any of those guys are 19 homer guys, and Gavin could be. So they're just different skill sets. Their last one here, I said that last time, but everyone when they come, well, I hope Jordan Thompson can feel the ball this year. I'm going to be like, chill out. What your thoughts on his defense on the left side?
I think he's looked awesome, man. He made every play Saturday. I think
he was fine last June and May too.
He was.
But everybody's talking about February still.
I think Jay said he made one error in fall ball. I mean, he looks good. He's healthy, y'all. I mean, that matters. The guy had a knee procedure 3 weeks before the season last year. He was the first pitch banquet last year, on crutches. Like, it was 3 weeks before the season.
Like 8 degrees in Ruston, and he made 3 errors. Like,
it took him a minute. He looks really good, and he's hitting the ball, too. So
get ready, because there's always a narrative that the fan base jumps to, and they just slam it down your throat. And, yes, Jordan Thompson will not go 56 games without an error this year. And so when he makes an error, everybody's just going to throw their hands up in the air. Shortstop's difficult. They make some errors. He played great at the end of last year, and he was really good as a freshman. Just take that 2-month sliver and throw it out of your mind.
Yes, outlier. It's an outlier. Did it stink? It stunk, but it's fine, man. He's going to be good.
Tell them where they can find Musso at the Box.
Musso at the Box. Apple, Spotify, Google, really anywhere you find your podcast. Follow me on Twitter as well, at Musso Matthew. Link is posted there always.
Daily?
Not yet. So we're doing kind of one a week right now. Did one today, so go check it out. Kind of recap the scrimmage. Talked about a lot of stuff we just talked about. February 13th, once we get to game week, Monday, February 13th, we'll go daily, 5 days a week.
Love to hear it. Musso at the Box. He is Matt Musso. You'll hear him in about 45 minutes as AFR cranks up, and he'll be in the chair with Matt. Musso, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Hunt.
He is Matt Musso. Come back a little bit more. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. All January long, we've been telling you about Hunters for the Hungry, nonprofit that was founded by a group of local hunters to share the game and fish they harvest every year with the needy. Since they started up in 1994, Hunters for the Hungry has expanded throughout the state. They're now partnered with all 5 major food banks in Louisiana. There are over 900,000 resident hunters and anglers in the state, and they contribute to the sportsman industry, supporting nearly 24,000 jobs. The economic impact of all that, $1.6 billion. And Hunters for the Hungry doing great work to feed the needy with the passion for hunting and fishing that we've got in this great state. That's why they're a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, if it's a nonprofit, if it's a business or a person, go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate them to be a champion of Louisiana so we can tell their story right here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Hunters for the Hungry, January's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility. Moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Miller Lite has more taste and only one more calorie than Michelob Ultra.
Moon Griffon is back. The voice of Louisiana politics makes his return to Baton Rouge. Catch the Moon Griffon Show weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on Talk 107.3.
Toyota in Opelousas is here to help you ring in the new year with no markups, and you'll never pay over MSRP. And we have new inventory arriving daily. So happy New Year.
Charles Hanniger, join us for the Tuesday edition of Handy Time. Dwayne Colucci recaps the AFC and NFC championship games and a look ahead to the Super Bowl, plus Mike Scarborough from TigerBay.com the day before signing date. Handy Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
What a difference a couple of years makes. Just heard that tease from Hanny for tomorrow's show, talking to Mike Scarborough on the day before signing day. I forgot. Signing day on Wednesday. I don't think LSU is going to sign anyone.
You're not excited?
No. I used to be, but I'm not, because they've already signed the whole class. There's 25 guys already inked. So it's just a different world. It used to be a huge, huge deal. Bayou Bash would be this week. Nothing doing. SEC Big 12 Challenge over the weekend. Big 12 got their W. Kind of figured that would be the case. Big 12 significantly better than the SEC in hoops this year. They won 7 of the 10 contests. 6 and 9. But either way, they got the win. I think the shocking result for just about everybody was Oklahoma absolutely running Alabama off the floor. And anytime Nate Oates' team loses, I'm probably going to have a little chuckle about it because, as I've said many, many times, once you directly talk trash to my alma mater, I'm not going to pull for you very often. And Nate Oates did that when he told us to get the blank off the floor. So I'm glad Oklahoma beat the ever-living snot out of Alabama 93-69 over the weekend. It was one of those days for Alabama where, yeah, their threes weren't falling, and that happened. They shot 6 of 22 for 27%, which is not like atrocious, but it's not what they want. But they didn't play any defense. Oklahoma shot 70% from 3. They shot 58% from the floor. It was just clinical by Oklahoma, and Bama just didn't have an answer on either end of the floor. Just a wild, wild game. 4 of 14 for Brandon Miller in the game, and so nothing that's earth-shattering for Alabama. They're still likely a number 1 seed at this point and come back undefeated in SEC play, but they got housed up in Norman over the weekend. Really nice job by Tennessee. Olivier Kamwa, who's like not really a big offensive threat for them. You think about some of the other guys. You think about Vescovy, obviously. You think about Josiah Jordan-James. You think about Zakai Joyner. All of a sudden, Kamwa goes for 27 points against Texas. They win that game 82-71. A little bit higher scoring game than Tennessee usually plays, but they were able to get it done. They moved up to number 2 in the new poll today. Keontae Johnson beats his former team, Kansas State 64, Florida 50. Big one in Rupp, and Kansas was awesome. 77-68 was the final. Kansas basically led throughout the game. I just didn't think a good enough job by Kentucky of getting the ball to Oscar Tshiebwe. He needs to shoot more than 9 times. I mean, he's going to get his standard rebounds, which he only got 9 in this game. I just felt like they should have gotten him a little bit more involved in the game. Too much kind of running through Wallace on the perimeter. Toppin got more shots than Tshiebwe. That shouldn't happen. But look, Kansas had their back against the wall in that game. They lost 3 in a row. Hadn't lost 4 in a row since the first year that Roy Williams was the coach there. So it's been a while since they lost 4 in a row. And they went to Rupp and got it done. And I still think Kentucky is in a better spot than they were 3 weeks ago, but kind of a little bit of a baby step back there against Kansas. Kansas returned the favor of Kentucky going to Fog Allen and absolutely lighting that place up last year in this same event. Continue to roll through some of the scores as we're looking at the SEC Big 12 Challenge, which the last year, incidentally, of the SEC Big 12 Challenge. I'll move on to the SEC and ACC coming up next year. But I think the biggest 2 matchups, obviously, were Texas and Tennessee and then Kansas and Kentucky. But Mississippi State got a really nice win over a top 15 TCU team. They actually scored some points. When Mississippi State scores some points, they're going to win a lot. It took overtime for them to get to 81. But they scored 66 in regulation, which is pretty good for them, especially against a good team like TCU. Tolu Smith is a really, really good player. He had 27 points and 13 rebounds in that game. Huge win for Missouri to beat Iowa State. I talked about Missouri being a potential tournament team. You know that you have locks in Alabama and Alabama and Tennessee. You've got teams that are kind of clinging to it. Auburn's moved into the very likely, and feel like Missouri can get there because they did a pretty good job in the non-conference against lesser competition. They needed some wins to hang their hat on, not just the number of wins, which is 16. And so to beat Iowa State, which is a top 15 team, really impressive. They beat them by 17 points. So really impressive effort by Missouri. Step back for Auburn. They go on the road against a pretty mediocre West Virginia team, and they lost 77-80. Janai Brune led them with 15 points and 7 rebounds, but they were not able to go on the road and get what would have been a nice win. Now it's kind of a disappointing loss against a West Virginia team that hasn't been great this year. A team that really needed a win in the SEC, like really needed it, was Arkansas. They went on the road, top 20 Baylor team, chance for a big win, and they played them tough. Council was awesome at 25 points. They had a chance late, but they lose 67-64. Arkansas leaking oil. They're 0-5 in true road games this year. They're just 14-7, don't have huge wins to hang their hat on right now. This would have been a really nice one, and they weren't able to go get it. Ole Ole Miss just continues to get pounded. They lost by 22 points to Oklahoma State. And you had a couple of conference games, and it was important for Texas A&M to take care of business after a huge win at Auburn. They come back home and they win. So they moved to 15-6. But more importantly for them is their conference standing right now, as they're continuing to keep pace with Alabama week in and week out. It's something that I could not have forecasted as of 3 weeks ago. But all of a sudden, you look up and A&M's 7-1 in the league and is a threat to make the tournament, which they certainly were not as of Christmas time. So a nice win for them against Vanderbilt, not to kind of fall back after a big road win. They come home, they don't drop that one. So nice job by Buzz and company to get that win. I mean, it's impressive what they did at the last 6 games of last year's regular season, and then this start in SEC play. They're better than everybody record-wise in terms of wins and losses, which is not something you would have thought based on how they played in the non-conference. So that's your look around the SEC Big 12 Challenge. The 104.5 ESPN Big Game Contest presented by Heineken Silver Star. You can win $50,000 in cash if your name is drawn from the pot and you correctly guess the final score of the big game. Get where we're going in 2 weeks here. We'll also be selecting a guaranteed local winner. 104.5 ESPN Big Game Contest is presented by Heineken Silver. All the taste, no bitter endings. Get your score guesses in now at 1045ESPN.com. 50K cash would be pretty good. All right, we'll take another timeout. We got 30 minutes to go here on a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, And LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We'll recap the championship games and start to look ahead to Super Bowl 57 and the Tigers and Pels on the hardwood. Join us Monday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So we're still about 3 weeks from baseball at the box, but they continue to roll out some preseason All-American lists and whatnot. It's just a little content for the folks out here. We like content. We'll talk about Baseball America as it was put out today. They had 15 voters for this, and there's a lot of categories. There's All-Americans, and then they went into like specific skill sets that players have in the country. So there were 3 unanimous first-team All-Americans in the preseason for Baseball America, 15 for 15. Dylan Cruz was one. Chase Dollander at Tennessee was one. And Paul Skeens at Utility, which Skeens gets the bump because he's going to hit as well as pitch, so he's always going to be Utility. So do they think necessarily that he's one of the best starting pitchers in the country? Maybe, but he's not listed as starting pitcher. He's listed as Utility. But Cruz, Skeens, and Dollander. By the way, you think they're going to have any scouts at the Thursday night LSU-Tennessee game? Skeens versus Dollander with Cruz and White and Morgan. You look at the bats that Tennessee has. They lost a few, but they've still got a pretty salty lineup. It's going to be a who's who out there. Wyatt Langford, Enrique Bradfield, the other 2 outfielders who are SEC guys. Jacob Gonzalez is the shortstop. He's an Ole Miss guy. Chase Burns is going to be the Saturday guy or the number 2 guy for Tennessee. He was an All-American as well. But unanimous, Cruz, Dollander, and Skeens. You look at the kind of write-up on Cruz. So the presumptive number 1 overall pick ending this season. Cruz, a highly regarded amateur slugger, pulled himself out of the 2020 draft and made it to campus at LSU. Since then, he's been arguably the best college baseball player in the country, setting a program freshman record 18 home runs in 2021 and adding 22 more in 2022. His power is exceptional. He destroys fastballs and hit it combined, and it gives a slash line for his college career. So they like him a lot. They also like Paul Skeens, said one of many prominent players to transfer to Baton Rouge for the 2023 season. Skeens, perhaps the best two-way college player since Brandon McKay, who was at Louisville. With Air Force over 2 seasons, Skeens posted a 2.72 ERA, hit .367 with 24 homers, 31 doubles. His size is 6'6", 235. Jumps out as easily as his gaudy numbers, massive raw power, and mid-90s arm strength. So that's very good. On the second team, you do have Tommy White. Interestingly, Peyton Stovall is on that list. He's from Houghton up there in North Louisiana. He's at Arkansas, and he'll be their second baseman. Trey Morgan also on the second team. So you've got Trey and Tommy White on the second team. On the third team, nobody from LSU makes the cut. But they've got some different little categories that they go into. They got best athlete in the country. They have Enrique Bradfield, who's a freak at Vanderbilt, who runs like a deer. But they do have Dylan Cruz, the second best athlete in college baseball. As far as best power goes, they got Dylan Cruz at 1, with Brock Wilken from Wake at 2, and Wyatt Langford 3. No Tommy White in the top 3 in power. They got Cruz listed as number 1. I mean, White did hit 27 homers last year. The power is pretty good, but I'll take it with Dylan Cruz. So they've got him as the second best athlete and the first best power. How's that for a skill set for Dylan Cruz? Fastest runner, Enrique Bradfield makes the cut there. Best defensive infielder. Maui Ahuna, who's going to be the shortstop for Tennessee. He was at Kansas. LSU really wanted him to come in and play in the middle infield, but he went to Tennessee. They got him at number 1, best defensive infielder. But Trey Morgan makes the cut at number 2 as a first baseman, second best defensive infielder in the country, best defensive outfielder. Bradfield does make the cut at number 1, but Dylan Cruz, number 2. So now you've got best athlete, second best athlete, best power, and second best outfield defender for Dylan Cruz. Oh, by the way, best outfield arm, number 1, Dylan Cruz. It's just, he's in everything, every category. Athlete, power, defense, arm, everywhere. He makes the cut. Best fastball in the country, they've got Chase Dolander. Jackson Wiggins is second. He's a big right-hander from Arkansas. But third, they've got Paul Skeens, third best fastball in the country. Best fastball movement, Chase Dolander, number 1. Paul Skeens, number 2. And that's the thing with Skeens. I saw him a good bit in the fall. That thing is running hard. Yeah, it's 96, 97, but it's sinking. What's weird to me, and maybe I'll get to this in a little bit more detail closer to the season over the next 2 weeks, Skeens' pitching numbers at Air Force are good. But for the Mountain West, like, it wasn't eye-popping, the statistics. Like, 2.72 ERA is pretty good, and most of the time he went out there and went 6 or 7 innings and gave up 2, 3, 4 runs, 8 or 9 strikes. Like, it wasn't unbelievable statistically. Now, it was pretty good, and obviously the talent is there. They've all got him projected in the first round. He pitched for Team USA. Like, I'm under no circumstance am I trying to sit here and say that Skeens, like, isn't that good. I think he's great, but the stats were not eye-popping for him over at Air Force. Best breaking ball in the country, Chase Dolander, number 1. So they've got him as best fastball movement, and best breaking ball in the country. That's a pretty good combo for Dolander. Second best breaking ball in the country, Hurston Waldrop. We saw plenty of that in that Saturday night game in the Hattiesburg Regional for Southern Miss. He now will be pitching at Florida, and that breaking ball is nasty. It was really tough for LSU to deal with. They've got Waldrop as the third best changeup. Second best changeup, they got Tanner Hall, who's out from Zachary, who's over at Southern Miss. Saw him start the Monday game in the regional against LSU. Best athlete as a pitcher, Paul Skeens, number 1. And then they got closest to the majors. They got Chase Dolander, number 1. Dylan Cruz, number 2. Wyatt Langford, stud outfielder from Florida, at number 3. So a ton of praise being heaped on Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens, and you got Trey Morgan and Tommy White in there as well. So just a lot of accolades on this team, and it's just really fun. I was talking to a client earlier today, and as I've mentioned here a couple times, if you've been listening over the last couple of weeks, I really don't recall it being as keyed up around here for baseball as it is. There's, of course, excitement for Jay Johnson's first year last year. I think an understanding of, man, this pitching staff might not be awesome. But, like, you couple the transfer portal class, the signing class, the guys that got returning back, and I think adding fuel to the fire is the fact that the basketball team is in a 3-week rut where they haven't won a game, and people are looking to turn the page, and, like, that's the next page. And so it's just, like, it's crazy around here. So we'll have plenty to talk about on the baseball squad. We had Musso on at the top of this hour at 2 o'clock. We kicked some things around for about 15 minutes, so if you want to go back and check that out on demand, you certainly can. Musso will have his podcast weekly right now. It'll start daily in a couple of weeks as they get ready to play some baseball here in 3 weeks, and we'll certainly have you covered. I'm excited to get out there. I'm not sure who I'm going to see on the mound today, but they certainly have to get a few guys out there that were scheduled to pitch yesterday. They did not have their regularly scheduled scrimmage yesterday because the rain was relentless yesterday, but I think they're going to have enough window at 4:30 to play. So I'll be able to go out there, take in a few innings of the scrimmage, and then have a report on it tomorrow as we inch closer to baseball season. Baseball America thinks LSU is going to be pretty good, which is a good thing. I think it's better to be ranked preseason number 1 and have a ton of All-Americans than to be way under the radar. LSU is certainly the opposite of that at this current juncture. So cannot wait for them to get out on the field here in 3 weeks. We will come back. We will close things up. We have got some take it or leave it. Hope your Monday is going awesome.
This is on Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Three people walk into a bar. The first two order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
Start your day with news and news.
Join me, Jimmy Ott and Charles Hanegraaff, the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at Finbom on Burbank and Lee, right next to Rouse's, recapping the conference championship games. Looking forward to the Super Bowl. It's Game Time, 6 8 p.m. Monday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I would say the Pels were leaking a little bit of oil. That might be kind. I think the wheels are off and the car's on blocks at this point. It's just a tough go right now for the Pellies. They've lost 8 in a row. Giannis scored 50 on them over the weekend in 30 minutes. And when is the skid going to end? They're at Denver coming up tomorrow. Then they're at Dallas. That's no picnic. They come home to play a Lakers team that's playing really hard, at least. LeBron threw a fit over the weekend, which might have been justified. But then Sacramento, who's played well. Atlanta, and is that your next win? February 7th? Cleveland, not awful. At Oklahoma City, then you got a 4-game road. So, I mean, they got to find a win somewhere. We're talking about this team leading the conference, and now all of a sudden you're looking up going, when are they going to win again? We'll talk to Sharif Ishak about them tomorrow, but it's a tough go right now for the Pellies. Citizens Bank poll question of the day asks you, your New Year's resolution still trucking? 62% of you say, nah, we fell off the wagon at some point. 38% still going strong, but 62% have tapped out of that New Year's resolution 30 days into our new year. So hat tip to the 38% of y'all. Y'all are killing it. My wife's in that mix, but 62% we knew you are who we thought you were. That's the way that usually goes. All right, Taylor Sharp, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Yeah, let's do it. Look, I don't want you to get too excited about this first one.
Okay.
Because Patrick Reed was caught up in more controversy over the weekend,
Lord.
claiming he was 100% sure his ball was lodged in a palm tree, even though video clearly showed the ball flying into a different tree. Patrick Reed cheats. Take it or leave it.
I gotta take this. I'm sorry. It happens too many times. And there's just... So, for those of y'all that aren't golf people, or if you even care, but he hit a tee shot that lodged into a tree. They're over in Dubai, and it went into a tree. Now, here's the rule. If you find your ball lodged in a tree, you can take an unplayable lie and drop right there for a penalty shot. You can drop right there. If you lose your ball, you cannot find it, you have to go back to the tee and hit your third shot from the tee box. So we're talking a 250-yard difference here in hitting where you're hitting your third shot from. And Patrick Reed gets the binoculars out and says he is, quote, 100% sure that's his ball lodged in the tree. Well, they have cameras, and the cameras show the ball flying into a different tree. So, no. But that's just the way he exists out there. If he can get away with it, he's going to do it, whether it's an embedded ball with his fingers, raking sand away in the bunker with his wedge. It's just the way Patrick Reed's always operated. And he's got a reputation for a reason. Now he's suing everybody for calling him out on it, which is another pathetic look. It's just, when it adds up and adds up and adds up and adds up, what other conclusion are we supposed to draw other than this guy is just fearless when it comes to bending the rules, breaking the rules to his advantage? Didn't matter, though, because Rory went birdie on 17 and 18 to close him out, and they didn't even get to a playoff. So Patrick Reed played really good golf, probably cheated in that instance. Didn't matter. Rory got it done over in Dubai. So I can't deal with Patrick Reed.
The Cleveland Guardians have announced the passing of John Adams, who I thought died like 100 years ago.
Yep.
But this John Adams apparently banged his drum in left field for more than 50 years. The most recognizable fan in Major League history. Take it or leave it.
Oh, man, that's tough. Because you got you've got Steve Bartman, obviously very recognizable for his role there. You've got, what's the kid's name in right field? Jeff for the Yankees, Jeter's home run. I can't think of the kid's last name.
So he's not the most memorable then?
Well, clearly. Well, yeah, that's a good point. It's people were probably like screaming in their car. Let's see. Jeffrey Mayer. He was the one that caught Jeter. So, yeah, that was one. But, like, look, John Adams banging that drum. Major League, they're banging the drum. He was at, Jacobs Field, and then it changed his name a few times. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty recognizable guy out there banging the drum for the Indians and Guardians. So. Yeah, so it might be. I'll take it.
I'll take it. Travis Kelce telling the mayor of Cincinnati to know your role and shut your mouth. Take it or leave it.
Oh man, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm getting on to Stetson Bennett for being a curmudgeon in his celebration. If Kelsey's gonna get up there and like talk some smack after they won the game, what are you gonna do? I mean, it's interesting because he went to the University of Cincinnati, so there's a little bit of a tie there. But yeah, if the elected official's gonna get on there and declare ownership that Joe Burrow owns, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and you win the game, you score a touchdown on a fourth down play, I think it's pretty much fair game. So it breaks my heart. I was pulling for my Bengals, just been a diehard for 2.5 years. But I think at that point, you can kind of say what you need to say if you're the AFC champions. So there it is.
Hunt, I got an issue with this, too. I was planning on throwing a big Super Bowl party. I hate both of these franchises.
You hate the Chiefs?
Yeah, I've just never been a fan of. And as a Cowboys fan, I mean, Eagles are
off limits. Yeah.
But I don't know what to do. Speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys released most of their offensive coaching staff. Dak Prescott will be drastically improved next season, take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave that. I don't think he'll be. How about hire Dan Mullen? He's free.
He is.
He and Dak cook.
His only problem is he doesn't like to recruit. He doesn't have to do that.
No, you don't. Jerry Jones does all your recruiting. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, I think Dan Mullen to the Cowboys, that's something we need to pick up some steam on. He obviously doesn't interview very well with the college gangs. But yeah, I don't know that Dak is going to be. But one that I was thinking about putting in for Take It or Leave It today, did you see the Empire State Building last night?
Yeah, it was like Eagles, right?
What in the world?
Like, you're not New York Jets? Like, what are we doing here?
Or the Giants who are in their division?
Just lost to the Eagles, yeah.
I mean, who is making these decisions? Apparently there's a protest, there are some fan bases you don't really want to tick off. The Giants and the Jets are two of them.
Well, Nick Mangold tweeted back at him.
I mean, yeah.
Longtime Jet center, he said, "You are now dead to me."
It's just, you can't do that. That's a big deal. It's not like, and you're not even hosting the event. Like, maybe if the Super Bowl was in New York and it was like a Chamber of Commerce type deal to welcome fans or something, this is just blatant disrespect to your hometown team. That is, if they light the Capitol up, crimson and white, after Bama goes to the Final Four or something,
I would be upset.
That's not good. Like, they like that building up in New Orleans for Mardi Gras, in the Sugar Bowl or whatever. Like, you better not light that thing up Auburn, orange, and blue. Like, who, again, I ask, who is making these calls for the Empire State Building? And, like, what's that discussion? Like, yeah, we're in New York City, hugely passionate sports town. We're not under any obligation to light the Empire State Building up any color. But somebody gets on the phone and is like, hey, the Eagles just won the NFC. Should we light it up green and white? Yeah, rubber stamp it. Get after it. Who said that? It's like, I can't. I don't understand the decisions that people make sometimes. That one is all-time bad. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Big one in the PMAC tonight. It'll be LSU's women's basketball squad hosting the Tennessee Lady Vols. 6 o'clock tip at the PMAC. There's a Whataburger giveaway for the students if you get there pretty early. So the students have done a really good job of packing that place. If you heard Arkansas's head coach said, yeah, he thought that they were the difference in the game, the crowd over at the PMAC. We know how loud that place can get for men's basketball. We know how loud it can be for gymnastics. And we know what it can be for women's basketball, and I think they're getting to that. Tennessee's not ranked, even though they think they should be. They got some talent on that team, I'm told, and certainly LSU putting that undefeated record to the test tonight at 6 o'clock. Kim Mulkey's team will be tipping off against the Lady Vols. Hopefully, Lady Tigers can get it done. All eyes are pointed towards South Carolina, but got to make a pit stop here and play Tennessee, which would have been crazy to say 15 years ago, 10 years ago, that the Lady Vols could be overlooked. But that's, I guess, kind of where we are. But LSU is on the ascent here. Should be a huge one. Hopefully they can get it done inside the PMAC 6 o'clock tip-off. I'll be over at the box at 4:30 watching a little scrimmage. We'll see who Jay Johnson's got throwing and what we can glean from that, but we'll certainly dive into a little bit more baseball coming up tomorrow. I just find that people find that a little bit more palatable than discussing some of the other things. Now that the Saints are out, the Bengals are out, LSU basketball is just having a tough go of it. Baseball, a little bit refreshing, a little bit better, just a refreshing look at LSU sports, and certainly women's basketball team are very much that as well. So we'll briefly touch on that tomorrow. Hopefully they can go ahead and get it done in the PMAC. That'll do it for a Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Fun show. Monday shows are always easy. They got a lot of content, but it wasn't a lot of fun content over the weekend. Our teams did not do so hot. The way it goes sometimes, but if you want to listen to it, you can always catch our stuff on demand. 1045ESPN.com. Go to the On Demand tab. All the shows are listed. Find Hunt Palmer Show. Our sound is uploaded there each and every day. You can go to Apple Podcast. You can go to Spotify. You can go to YouTube. And if you want to subscribe to our channels, get that content delivered right to your fingertips, we certainly appreciate that. Those of you in the Bayou Ford chat, appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Throw us a like on the way out. I got Roger Claiborne saying, did he mention the Lady Tigers? Yeah, every once in a while I do. can't pretend to be an expert on the X's and O's out there or even the roster composition, but I mention them every once in a while when they got a big game. When they're winning every game by 60 in December against schools nobody's ever heard of, not exactly compelling radio when you got the football team winning the SEC West, but I digress. They play tonight. I mentioned them. We talked NFC title game at the top of the show. Then we talked LSU Texas Tech on the hardwood from Saturday. Brent Cunningham from Bayou Traditions, the new LSU collective, was with us at 1:30. Interesting discussion on how they'll take money and funnel it to the student athletes as part of the name, image, likeness program with Bayou Traditions. Stetson Bennett watch at the end of hour number 1. He's had a rough go of it over the last couple of weeks. Certainly came to a head this weekend when he was arrested. Matt Musso was in talking some baseball. If you want to listen to his podcast, you can catch Mucho at the box at all those places I just told you. SEC Big 12 Challenge updates, some preseason college baseball American notes from Baseball America. All that is up on demand, as well as Take It or Leave It. Have a wonderful Monday evening. Jimmy Oz Game Time coming to you at 6 to 8 tonight. Matt Moscona is about to drive you home on After Further Review. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.